They never miss you when you leave. They miss you when they finally realize you're not coming back. That line hits hard, doesn't it? Because it's true. The moment you walk away, they don't feel your absence. They feel their freedom. But give it time, my friends. The silence you're sitting in right now, that's not the end. It's the beginning of their awakening. Hey, folks, imagine this for a second. You're the sun, right? You've been shining every single day on someone's world, giving warmth, giving energy, giving light. And one day, you just stop rising for them. At first, they celebrate the night. They dance under the stars, thinking darkness feels exciting. But slowly, the cold creeps in. The silence grows louder. The stars start to fade. And that's when it hits them. They never appreciated the light until it was gone. That's how it works in breakups too. The first stage isn't pain, it's relief. They think they've escaped something heavy. They call it freedom, post some quotes about self-love, and pretend they've leveled up. But the truth, my friends, is that most people don't heal. They just hide behind distractions. New faces, new parties, new posts. But the heart always collects the bill later. Here's the thing most people never understand. When someone leaves you, they don't stop caring overnight. They just silence their emotions long enough to feel in control. It's like putting tape over a leaky pipe. The pressure keeps building until one day it bursts. And that burst, that breakdown, that moment of, I shouldn't have lost them, that's the second wave. That's when they finally start to miss you. But too many of you never make it to that second wave. You break too soon. You reach out. You chase. You text. You feed their ego before time has a chance to humble it. And then you wonder why they seem fine while you're falling apart. Folks, listen closely. It's not that they're stronger, it's that they're still distracted. I know it hurts. You want closure, you want answers, you want that small sign they still care, but you've got to understand, silence is not weakness. It's your shield, it's your teacher. Every time you hold back from chasing, you're training your heart to respect itself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That includes how long it takes them to realize your worth. And trust me, that moment always comes. It might take weeks, months, even years, but the day will come when they see your name and feel that ache they once made you feel. Because the universe has a funny way of balancing things. You lose sleep over them now, they'll lose peace over you later. So if you're hurting, smile a little. You're not losing, you're transforming. You're not forgotten, you're being remembered in silence. Every day you stay still. Every day you choose peace over panic. You move closer to your power. So here's what I want you to do. Take a deep breath, straighten your shoulders, and write this down in the comments. I rise in silence. Because that's your affirmation today. You rise, quietly, calmly, powerfully. Press that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because this is where the real story begins. Number 1, the first wave, the freedom that isn't free. At first, they don't miss you because they think they've escaped you. But one day, they realize they didn't escape you. They escaped themselves. That's the truth most people never see until it's too late. The first wave after a breakup is nothing but the illusion of peace. They walk away thinking they've finally found freedom, but it's only borrowed time. It's like a person sprinting out of a cage, shouting, "I'm free," without realizing the world outside has no shelter, no map, no food, and no familiar warmth. The adrenaline feels amazing at first, but eventually the silence starts echoing. And they begin to understand that not every exit leads to freedom. Some lead straight into emptiness. In that first wave, they feel alive. They laugh louder, post more, pretend harder. They convince themselves that the breakup was their breakthrough. They go out, distract themselves, and wear a fake peace like a mask. And yet, deep inside, that small voice keeps whispering, "This doesn't feel as good as I thought it would." But they drown it out with noise, because facing silence means facing truth, and truth is terrifying. Maybe you've seen it happen, my friend. They leave you, talk big, act fearless, tell their friends they're finally done, and you sit there asking yourself, how can someone move on that fast? Did what we had mean nothing? Did they ever love me? The mind starts spinning, creating fears that stab you in the dark. You check their social media, and the worst pain hits. Not that they're gone, but that they look happy without you. But listen carefully. Happiness posted is not happiness lived. Most people perform better than they heal. They play strong because they're weak inside. It's like putting perfume over a wound. It smells good, but it's still infected. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." But here's the part most people forget. The moment you start trying to control their emotions, you lose control over your own. And that's what happens to most men. They break during the first wave because they can't handle ambiguity. They mistake their silence for rejection when it's actually just avoidance. They think, if I don't reach out, I'll lose them forever. But my friends, the truth is, you already lost them the day they stopped showing up emotionally. What you're clinging to isn't them, it's the idea of them. You're chasing closure from someone who's still closing their eyes to their own reflection. The first wave is deceptive because it rewards weakness. It makes you feel like silence is punishment, not protection. It tricks you into believing that if you chase them, you'll fix what's broken. But you can't fix something that's still denying it's broken. You can't teach someone the value of peace while they're addicted to noise. So yes, it's going to feel unbearable. You'll have nights where the silence feels like a scream. You'll imagine them in someone else's arms, laughing, healing, forgetting. You'll ask yourself, why can't I move like that? Why can't I just be free too? And here's the truth, they're not free. They're running from the same pain that you're facing head-on. You're standing still in the fire. They're running through smoke, and eventually the smoke clears. The Stoics always believed that pain faced is pain conquered, but pain avoided. That becomes a shadow that follows you everywhere, and that's what happens during that first wave. They avoid, they suppress, they tell themselves, "I'm okay," when their mind is just trying to survive. It's emotional survival mode dressed up as liberation. You see, folks, the first wave always feels like a win for them, but it's a setup. The ego tells them they've won because they ended something that hurt. But the soul knows better. The soul knows when something real is gone. It just takes time for the noise to die down so the truth can finally speak. And this is where your strength is tested. Not by what they do, but by what you refuse to do. You'll be tempted to text. You'll rehearse messages in your head, hoping to sound casual, but secretly praying they'll remember you. You'll scroll their page, interpret every post, and fight every urge to react. But you can't win this fight through reaction. You win through restraint. You win by not participating in the performance. Because the first wave is their movie, and you're not the lead actor anymore. Let them play their role. Let them feel their version of freedom. Let them enjoy the applause of people who don't know the whole story. Because when the lights go out and the audience leaves, they'll still have to face that empty stage alone. Seneca once said, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." That's what silence really is, self-conquest. It's not passivity, it's power. It's saying, I will not feed the illusion. I will not fight for what time will expose anyway. Because when you let go, the truth doesn't disappear. It reveals itself. They don't miss you during the first wave because they haven't yet realized what they've lost. They're still in the echo of excitement, in the false dawn of their so-called freedom. But when the light fades, when the newness wears off, when the world stops clapping, that's when they remember who never asked them to perform. That's when the silence you've been sitting in becomes the sound of their regret. So breathe. Stay still. Don't panic when they don't miss you yet, because one day they will. They always do. The difference between you and them is simple. You faced the truth early, while they postponed it. And when their second wave comes crashing in, you'll already be standing tall, unshaken, wiser. Write this in the comments, my friends. I conquer myself. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength in disguise. And if you stay long enough in that silence, it will turn into power. Stay with me, because what comes next is where their illusion finally breaks and your rise truly begins. Number 2. When the noise fades, the truth gets loud. They don't miss your presence, they miss their peace once it's gone. At first, they're too busy enjoying the noise to notice what they've lost. The group chats are full, the nights are loud, and every corner of their new life feels lit up by distraction. But folks, the human heart is strange. It can pretend for weeks, sometimes months, that it's fine. It can throw parties, post pictures, laugh too loud, until one day it looks around and realizes there's nothing left to distract it. The noise fades, and suddenly the silence you left behind becomes a mirror. Picture this: they're standing in a crowded room, music blasting, lights flashing, but something feels off. The laughter doesn't land the same, the jokes don't hit as hard, and in that single moment of stillness between songs, the truth whispers, this isn't happiness. This is running. That's how most people survive after losing someone who genuinely cared. They sprint through the days, hoping the silence never catches up. You might sit there thinking, why does it seem so easy for them? Why are they smiling while I'm suffering? My friends, they aren't smiling because they're healed. They're smiling because they're still high on the illusion of relief. It's like escaping a storm, only to realize you left your shelter behind. At first, they'll call it peace. Later, they'll call it emptiness. See, the mind always lies before it tells the truth. In the beginning, it lies to protect the ego. It whispers things like, you're better off without them, they were the problem, or you're finally free. And because the ego is terrified of loss, it feeds those lies like oxygen. But ego has an expiration date. When the adrenaline wears off, what's left is accountability. And that's when reality hits hard. Most of them won't admit this out loud, but deep down they start to miss the things that never asked for attention. The simple texts, the small talks, the way you cared quietly, the way your presence brought order to their chaos. But they'll never say it, at least not right away. Pride will make them pretend it was all nothing. Pride will make them scroll past your name like it doesn't sting. And you'll feel the urge to prove your worth, to remind them what they lost. But remember what Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If you break your silence just to make noise, you're still controlled by their absence. You must learn to sit in that silence like a king sits on his throne, not begging, not proving, not chasing, just existing with power. I know it's not easy. Nights get heavy. The mind replays old memories like reruns of a show that doesn't air anymore. You'll feel like reaching out could bring peace, but it won't. It'll only restart a game you've already lost once. Don't break your silence to get noticed. Break your limits to get better. That's what Stoicism is about, learning that peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrendering control. They think they're winning because they left first, but leaving doesn't mean leading. You can walk away from someone and still be trapped in their memory. You can delete a number and still dial it in your mind. And that's what's coming for them. The second wave, the moment when all the noise fades and your absence turns into their teacher. So when that silence stretches, don't panic, don't question your worth. The silence isn't your enemy, it's your filter. It's separating who truly cares from who just needed company. It's showing you that patience is louder than chasing and peace is louder than panic. And one day, when they finally stop running, they'll realize they weren't escaping you. They were escaping the version of themselves they met when they were with you. Because real connection doesn't vanish. It just goes quiet until it's ready to speak again. Stay strong, my friends. Stay centered. Remember this. If they're not missing you yet, it's because the lesson hasn't reached them. But when it does, they'll remember the one who stayed silent while they made noise. Write this in the comments to claim your strength. I am an unshakable peace. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you. Silence isn't weakness, it's self-respect wearing armor. Stay with me, because what's coming next is where their ego starts to crumble and the missing truly begins. Number 3, the illusion of indifference. They don't forget you, they just pretend louder than you to stay silent. That's how the game begins, folks. After the noise dies down, the pretending starts. They'll act indifferent, unfazed, even proud. They'll say things like, "I'm over it," or "it just wasn't meant to be." But you and I both know, nobody heals that fast. That's not peace talking, that's pride trying to protect itself. Indifference isn't the absence of emotion, it's emotion in disguise. It's a pain wearing sunglasses, pretending it doesn't need the sun anymore. This is the phase where they try to convince both you and themselves that they don't care. They'll post, they'll laugh, they'll show up everywhere you're not, all to prove something that doesn't even exist. Imagine someone holding a beach ball underwater. They can push it down for a while, but the longer they try to keep it submerged, the harder it fights to rise. That's how suppressed emotion works. It always resurfaces, just not when you expect it. But here's the dangerous part. This illusion of indifference is the trap most people fall into. You start believing their act. You start thinking, maybe they really don't care anymore. Maybe I was just a phase. And that lie, my friends, is what destroys most men after a breakup. They mistake pretense for peace, and they give up too soon. But let's make something clear right now. Pretending is temporary. Truth is eternal. Let's say they start dating someone new. The pictures go up, the captions sound poetic, the comments pour in. "You look so happy. You deserve this." You see it, and your stomach twists. You think, they've replaced me. But let me break that illusion right here. Rebounds aren't replacements. They're distractions. They're painkillers, not healing. It's emotional anesthesia. It numbs the heart, but doesn't cure the wound. And the truth is, the more they try to prove they've moved on, the more you should know they haven't. Because genuine peace doesn't need an audience. People who are really happy don't announce it every day. They just live it. But those who are faking it, they need witnesses. They need validation. because the silence inside them is starting to whisper, and that whisper terrifies them. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth." So when you see them acting like they don't care, understand that's their perspective of survival. Everyone copes differently. Some talk, some run, some rebound, and some pretend. But pretending doesn't erase connection. It just delays the breakdown. You've got to stop taking their behavior personally. It's not that they don't care about you. It's that they don't know how to face what they feel about you. Indifference becomes their armor, not because they're heartless, but because they're scared. They fear the same silence that you've already made peace with. That's why the Stoic man always wins in the long run. He walks through the fire they refuse to acknowledge. Now, I know it's hard. You're watching someone you once gave your soul to act like you never existed. That's a special kind of pain. It's like building a home for someone, only for them to move into another house overnight. But remember this: no one leaves a place where they truly found peace. They might wander, they might pretend, they might even forget your birthday, but peace stays branded on the soul. And sooner or later they'll come back looking for that calm you carried. Don't believe the highlight reels. Don't let their performance convince you to break your silence. The moment you react, you give power to the illusion. You validate the lie they're telling themselves. And that's what most men do wrong. They break too early. They reach out just when the mask is about to crack. They interrupt karma in progress. The truth is, indifference always collapses under its own weight. It can't last forever. They can act, post, flirt, laugh, but one day they'll scroll back through their own feed, and your shadow will still be there. The memories they buried will start to resurface. The jokes, the moments, the quiet nights that never needed validation. And that's when the illusion dies. So instead of chasing clarity from someone lost in confusion, become the clarity. Don't fight their pretense, outlast it. That's what Stoicism teaches us. Don't demand understanding from the confused. Just stand still until they find their own reflection. Because when you stop trying to prove your worth, they have no choice but to remember it. Seneca said, "How long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself?" That's the question you've got to ask now, not "when will they miss me?" but "how long will I keep waiting to rise?" Because when you rise, quietly, consistently, without making noise, their illusion of indifference starts to crumble. They'll remember how your calm made them feel safe, how your silence made them think, how your presence once gave them balance. And when that memory returns, it hits harder than any text you could have sent. So let them play strong, let them pretend, let them call it peace. You just keep being the storm that looks like still water. Write this in the comments and claim it. I outlast illusions. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. And stay with me, because next we're diving into the part where the mask finally slips, and they start to feel everything they swore they never would. Number 4. When distractions die, the truth begins to hurt. The loudest moment after a breakup isn't when they leave, it's when the noise finally stops. That's the silence they never prepared for, my friends. The kind of silence that doesn't come from you blocking them. It comes from life itself running out of distractions. At first, they had everything to drown out the loss. New people, new routines, new playlists, new smiles. They used all of it as emotional duct tape. But duct tape doesn't fix a broken pipe. It just hides the leak until pressure builds. And when it finally bursts, it's not gentle, it's explosive. This is the point where the first wave, the illusion of freedom, dies out. All those nights they went out pretending to be free now turn into nights of scrolling through old pictures, half out of curiosity, half out of guilt. It's funny, right? You once fought to get their attention, and now they fight themselves not to look at yours. But this is where most people begin to taste the bitterness of their own silence. Because silence, folks, is a mirror, and not everyone can stand what it reflects. They see themselves without your patience, without your steady energy, without your calm, and for the first time they notice the void. It's not loneliness, it's self-realization, the kind that creeps up slow, like the sound of a clock in an empty house. Tick, 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 each second reminding them that time doesn't heal everything. It just reveals what distraction tried to hide. They start asking themselves questions they once brushed off. Why does everything feel so empty? Why do I keep comparing everyone to them? Why do I still check if they've moved on? And that's the funny thing about ego. It'll let you lie to everyone but yourself. Eventually, even the most stubborn pride cracks under the weight of truth. Imagine this. You're standing on the shore, watching waves crash one after another. The first ones are loud, aggressive, full of energy. That's the breakup, the freedom phase. But after a while, the waves slow down. The sea grows quiet. And when the water clears, you start to see what was hiding beneath it the whole time. The wreckage, the debris, the things you pretended weren't there. That's what happens when distractions die. The water calms, and the truth becomes visible. Now here's where the test really begins, for them and for you, because this silence feels different. It's not angry, it's not dramatic, it's heavy, it forces reflection. And the people who once looked confident now start to question everything. The rebound loses its flavor. The jokes stop being funny. The "I'm fine" mask starts to slip. And that's when the missing begins. Not because they suddenly love you again, but because they finally ran out of ways to avoid themselves. And you know what's ironic? The same silence they thought would protect them from you is now the silence teaching them about you. They start to realize you weren't just a person, they were at peace around you. You weren't just love, you were stability. They start to miss not the chaos of the relationship, but the calm within it. The parts that never needed words, the safety of your presence, the sound of someone who didn't demand attention, but still held space for them. That's what they remember when everything else fades. But here's the trap most of you fall into. You sense this shift and you break your silence too early. You feel that invisible pull and think, maybe this is the time to reach out. Don't. That's not intuition. It's temptation. You don't need to knock on the door of someone whose conscience is already opening it for you. If you break now, you interrupt the lesson the universe is trying to teach them. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." And that's true for heartbreak too. Delay your reaction. Delay your response. Let the silence mature into power. Because the truth is, missing doesn't hit in a single moment. It builds like pressure under the surface. Every unanswered question, every night they stare at the ceiling, wondering where it all went wrong. It adds weight. And eventually, that weight turns into realization. And when it hits, it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. They begin to see that your silence wasn't distance, it was discipline. They start to see you as the one who grew while they stayed the same. And that's when the regret begins to whisper in their ear. You might have lost something real. That's the second wave beginning to form, the one that doesn't come with noise or attention. It arrives quietly, like a shadow returning to the one who created it. You'll know it's coming, not because they reach out, but because the energy shifts. The same world that once made them feel free starts to feel cold. The same freedom that once made them laugh now feels lonely. And the same silence they ran from now feels like punishment. So stay calm, my friends. Don't flinch. Don't respond to their performance, their stories, or their small breadcrumbs. Let them face the mirror that silence has placed before them, because you don't need to prove your worth. The silence already is. You just have to hold it long enough for it to work. Write this in the comments and let it sink deep into your mindset. My silence speaks louder than their noise. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you don't chase what's running away from its own peace. You let time do what words never could. And stay with me, because what's coming next, the second wave, is where they finally stop pretending and start feeling every ounce of what they lost. Number 5. The second wave always comes. At first, they laugh because you're gone. Later, they cry because you stayed gone. That's how it always unfolds, my friends. The second wave doesn't come with fireworks or an apology text. It comes quietly, like a ghost that won't stop knocking at their mind. At first, they thought silence meant victory. They told themselves, "Good, they're finally out of my life." But silence is a slow poison, and ego always drinks first. Because silence doesn't just remove you, it removes their control. And that's when the storm inside them begins. The second wave always begins the same way: confusion. They wake up one morning and something feels off. The coffee tastes different. The songs that used to make them feel free suddenly sting. That familiar rush of "I'm doing great without them" fades into a quiet ache they can't explain. The mind starts wandering where it once refused to go. They scroll past your name, then scroll back. They look at your profile out of curiosity, then out of nostalgia, then out of regret. It's the mind's way of saying, "You thought you buried this, but it's still alive." The first wave was all about escape. The second wave is all about reflection. It's not adrenaline anymore, it's accountability. Because when distractions end, the mind finally starts processing truth. It's the same truth they ran from. You were the calm they mistook for boredom, the loyalty they confused for predictability, the peace they traded for chaos. Now, that truth starts to whisper again, and this time they can't drown it out. You see, the ego always collapses under silence. Ego feeds on reaction, on attention, on energy exchange. And when you deny it all three, it starves. That's when pride turns to curiosity, and curiosity turns to longing. They start wondering, why haven't they reached out? Were they really over it that fast? Did they stop caring completely? And suddenly, the roles flip. The one who left starts waiting for the one who stayed silent. But here's the irony. By the time the second wave hits them, you've already grown stronger. You've learned how to live in that silence they once feared. You've turned it into discipline, into growth, into power. You're not the same person they left. And that's exactly why they start missing you, not because of who you were, but because of who you've become in their absence. Imagine it like this. You were once a light in their room. They got used to it, took it for granted. One day, you turned it off. At first, their eyes adjusted to the dark. They thought they could see fine without it. But as time passes, they start to stumble. They start to realize the darkness isn't freedom, it's emptiness. And when they reach for the switch to turn that light back on, it's too late. You're not there anymore. That's the second wave. The realization that the person they left behind doesn't exist anymore, and the one who replaced them doesn't need them back. The Stoics used to say, "Time discloses truth," and nothing proves that better than the second wave. Because no matter how strong someone's ego is, time always wears it down. The silence you hold today becomes the teacher they can't ignore tomorrow. It shows them what words couldn't, what texts didn't, what begging never achieved, that your value wasn't negotiable. Now, here's where you need to be careful. The second wave doesn't always show up as a grand apology or a message saying, "I miss you." Sometimes it shows up in subtle ways. They'll start liking your old posts, watching your stories, throwing breadcrumbs your way just to test if the door is still open. Don't take the bait. That's not healing. That's curiosity wrapped in guilt. They're not ready to face the full truth yet. They just want to make sure they still matter. But you're not here to validate their timing. You're here to master yours. Silence isn't a waiting game. It's a proving ground. It's where your emotions are tested, your strength is refined, and your identity is rebuilt. Every day you stay silent when your heart wants to scream, you're teaching yourself power. You're proving that you no longer chase what doesn't recognize your worth. And when they finally break, when their ego can't keep pretending, when they start to realize what they've lost, it won't be the version of you they remember that haunts them. It'll be the version they'll never have access to again. That's what truly stings, because now your silence doesn't just represent distance, it represents evolution. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." This silence you're in, this is your adversity. This is where you prove yourself. Because while they're busy replaying old memories, you're busy rewriting your story. And when they finally look your way again, they won't recognize the person they thought they left behind. So let them feel it. Let them spiral in that confusion. Let the second wave do its job. It's not your job to rush their realization. It's not your responsibility to help them see what time is already showing them. Your silence is already teaching them everything you could ever say. Write this in the comments, my friends. I am the storm they can't escape. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you don't break when you're ignored. You build. You don't chase when you're forgotten. You evolve. The second wave always comes, but when it does, it's not meant to bring them back. It's meant to remind them what they can never have again. Stay with me, because next, we're going to talk about why most men lose everything during this stage and how to make sure you never do. Number 6. Why most men lose everything during the silence. It's not what breaks you that defines you. It's what you do in the silence after it breaks. This is the phase where most men fail, my friends. Not because they're weak, but because silence feels like punishment when you don't understand its purpose. You've survived the first wave. You've endured the noise dying out. You've seen them pretend not to care. But now comes the real test. Staying unshaken while everything in you screams to reach out. Silence is heavy. It's not glamorous, not cinematic. It's long nights where your mind becomes the enemy and your phone becomes temptation. You scroll, you think, you imagine. Maybe if I just say something small, you tell yourself. Just a simple text, nothing emotional. But deep down, you know that small text isn't small at all. It's a surrender. It's the ego asking for relief instead of redemption. The Stoics taught that suffering without meaning destroys a man, but suffering with purpose builds him. This silence, it has a purpose. It's not here to punish you, it's here to refine you. But the problem is, most men don't see it that way. They confuse silence with loss instead of transformation. They let the quiet convince them that they're forgotten, when in truth, silence is the only language that time respects. Think about it. A sculptor doesn't panic when he carves away at stone. He knows that every strike removes what doesn't belong. That's what silence does to you. Every day you resist reaching out. It's carving away the weakness that once made you chase validation. Every moment you stay calm instead of reactive, you're shaping something stronger. A man who doesn't beg to be seen, but commands to be remembered. But here's the trap most fall into: emotional leakage. It's not always about sending that text or calling them at midnight. Sometimes it's the subtle ways you break, posting sad quotes, sharing breakup memes, pretending to move on publicly while secretly hoping they'll notice. Folks, that's not healing, that's advertising pain. You can't fake power. People feel it. And the more you leak emotionally, the more you confirm their decision to leave. That's why Stoicism isn't just silence, it's composure. True silence isn't not speaking. It's not reacting, it's letting them wonder. It's letting them face their own choices without interference. You don't remind them what they lost. You become the silence that reminds them itself. You've got to understand, when they walked away, they didn't expect you to hold your ground. They expected begging, panic, reaction. They expected the version of you they could predict. And when you didn't break the pattern, when you didn't play the part, it unsettled them. That's when the missing begins, not because they lost you, but because they lost control of how you used to respond. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Most men lose everything because they overestimate the importance of being seen and underestimate the power of being still. They chase presence when they should be mastering absence. They try to prove they still care when they should be proving they no longer need to. And yes, it's hard. I won't lie. It's like standing in a storm while everyone else runs for cover. It's that ache in your chest that whispers, "Say something before it's too late." But ask yourself this: too late for what? For their comfort? For their ego? For the version of you that couldn't survive without being validated? No, my friend, it's not too late for you. It's just too early for them to realize what they've lost. Because when you stay silent long enough, silence starts working for you. It becomes your reputation. It becomes your proof of strength. The same people who called you cold will later call you mysterious. The same ones who thought you didn't care will wonder how you moved on so fast. That's the paradox of stillness. It makes them question everything while you answer nothing. Don't let the noise of loneliness drown out your progress. You're not being forgotten, you're being redefined. You're turning from someone they used to know into someone they can't forget. That's the reward of endurance. So stop giving them little reminders that you're still there. Be gone completely. Be that silence that lingers, the silence that haunts their reflection. That's when power shifts. That's when they feel it. Not when you post, not when you reach out, but when your absence becomes too loud to ignore. Remember this: silence is not empty. It's full of answers they're not ready to hear. Write this in the comments and let the world see what kind of man you're becoming. I master the silence. Show them, show yourself. Show the world around you that real power doesn't come from being loud. It comes from being unmoved. Because while they're still running from themselves, you've already found peace standing still. Stay with me. because next we'll go even deeper into the Stoic path itself, where your silence becomes your weapon and peace turns into power. Number 7. The Stoic path through the void. In a world addicted to reaction, silence is rebellion. That's what this phase is, my friends, rebellion. Not against them, not against love, but against the part of you that once needed to be chosen to feel complete. This is where the silence stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like power. You've walked through the chaos, the confusion, the temptation to break, and now what's left is pure stillness, the kind that makes people uncomfortable because it can't be controlled. The Stoic path through the void is where your mind finally catches up with your heart. It's that moment when you realize, I didn't lose them. I lost the version of me who tolerated being unseen. You stop waiting for closure, stop searching for validation, stop needing to be understood. You start seeing that peace was never supposed to come from them. It was supposed to come from discipline. Imagine this: you're a lighthouse standing in the middle of a violent sea. The waves crash, the storm howls, but the light never flickers. That's what you become when you stop reacting. While they're lost in noise, you're steady in silence. While they seek attention, you radiate purpose. You're no longer chasing meaning in people, you're creating meaning in yourself. Most people can't walk this path because the void feels lonely. But loneliness, my friends, is only the shadow of transformation. It's the sound of your soul rearranging itself after you stop begging to be seen. The void is not empty. It's where your strength is built in secret. That's where men evolve. That's where warriors are made. You start to see everything differently. You look back and realize that their rejection wasn't the wound. It was the awakening. It was life removing what couldn't stay on the path ahead. It was your invitation to rise. And when you understand that, you stop seeing silence as something to survive. You start seeing it as something sacred. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That's Stoicism in its purest form. Every obstacle, the breakup, the loneliness, the uncertainty, it all becomes fuel. What tried to destroy you becomes what defines you. You turn their absence into focus, their silence into strategy, and your pain into progress. You no longer chase what left. You no longer prove what's already evident. You just move differently, quiet, grounded, intentional. You start eating better, working out harder, thinking deeper. You wake up early, not to impress anyone, but because the discipline itself becomes your revenge. You replace "why did they leave me" with "why did I ever forget my worth?" And that's when you notice something strange. People start reacting to your silence. They start to feel it. They notice your calm. They feel your energy shift. That's the paradox of the Stoic path. The less you speak, the more your presence speaks for you. You don't post about healing, you live it. You don't talk about change, you embody it. You become proof that not every man needs to chase to win. Then one day, the same people who left start to circle back. They'll send a "hey" or a random emoji just to test the waters. But you won't respond from pain anymore. You'll respond from power. Because you no longer crave closure, you are closure. You no longer seek peace, you carry peace. That's the beauty of the Stoic void. It turns loss into leverage. It turns heartbreak into higher ground. The same silence that once made you feel forgotten now becomes the reason they'll never forget you. Because silence always returns to the one strong enough to hold it. So, my friends, if you're in that quiet right now, don't rush to fill it. Sit in it, master it, let it rebuild you. because one day that silence will become your reputation. People will feel your energy without you needing to say a word. And the ones who left will feel your absence like gravity, constant, invisible, undeniable. Write this in the comments and declare it to yourself. My silence is my strength. Show them, show yourself, show the world that peace is not passive, it's power. The calm man always wins because he's not reacting to life, he's directing it. If this message hit home for you, don't forget to press that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who's walking through their own silence, because someone out there needs to hear this truth today. You've got this, and I've got you. Stay silent, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next one.